Okay, here we are in game number 1 of Aureil versus Percival. Spawning in the Blue Celestial, we have Aureil here. This game is going to play out in the quarterfinals of Aureil Stormgate's Invitational. And Percival spawned here in the top right as the Red Vanguard. And Percival made it through Elf to make it here to the quarterfinals, whereas Aureil made it through JXP. So we'll see what they're going to do here to continue their tournament life. Maybe make it to the semis, which will be played out tomorrow. Aureil here hiding his surged arc ship over top of these trees. Not sure if the dog, I don't think the dog can see it up there, but it seems like Percival knows it's up there, so maybe he saw it on its way. Now, Morph Core versus Puppy Dog. The dog wants to get there and stop it from putting down an array, but the Morph Core, and again, now we see enough resources, so delayed just a little bit of time there, maybe 5 or 6 seconds, slowing down that economy ever so much. And what do we have? A Lancer out as well, heading to do some creeping, whereas this pup is, yeah, going to get a healing cabbage and maybe join the creeping as well. Now it's, let's see here, another Morph Core out, heading back towards, looks like maybe the natural, to put down another collection array. And Power Bank creeping on the health camp. Okay, so that's why Aureil went for this collection array first, is to creep this camp using the Sovereign's Watch, which now just requires a slightly different tech. You got to summon a power bank now within range of the collection array that it can be targeted with the Sov Watch, but also within range of the creeps. So there's got to be some learning that you have to put down to kind of figure out what that range is. Second arc ship going down pretty early here, about 2.5 minutes in. And the first arc ship floating its way back. Another collection array is down, and another collection array is down. So we're up to 4 collection arrays for Aureil. And the first hedgehogs are coming across the map. Where's the hedgehog going to go? Now, there is an arc ship here. It was under construction. I believe while it's under construction, you can target it. It's on the ground, but now that it's done, it's up flying. You need to be able to hit air. And we have dogs and hogs here coming into what's kind of the main base here up at the third for Aureil. And it looks like the dog's going to try and take this last creep. Well, here come the hedgehogs too. The Lancer was taking some pot shots at the creation chamber. Now we got a Sovereign's Watch that's going to, again, force Aureil to spend some power. So that is kind of damage done. And where are these hogs going? So we still have Lancer and Dog hanging out in the health camp. And there we go. Okay, so the hogs find another collection array to be annoying too. You've already used your Sovereign's Watch on one. Now you have to use it on another one, so that's more power spent. Another power bank you need to put down somewhere, or wait for that power to regen. And now it looks like there's skirmishing here around the health camp as the Ardents try and push the Lancer and the dog out, but they just have that healing ability. So Hedgehog's now going to try and focus down this power bank, putting Aureil into the red power now. And now there's these 3 hedgehogs kind of being annoying. They're focusing creation chambers for the moment. And Aureil's forced to retreat back to the safety of his Guardian Nexus. His arc ship has shown up. That's going to give some healing here. But really he wants to push these units out of the healing camp so that he can capture it, and he does kill them. But at what cost? Because there are now hedgehogs here in the main. They took out the prism. And, well, okay, I thought they might focus the prism down as well, but they do not. Looks like they're just going to regroup. And they're going to go into anti-air mode to take out this collection array. Ooh, that's so much DPS. But the collection array does get to float itself to safety. Argent's trying to come and push these hedgehogs away. Of course, they're not fast enough to chase them down, but there are enough of them there to be a threat that hedgehogs don't want to fight into that. Instead, the hogs are taking out these shadow demons. And again, yeah, here come the Argents. You don't really want to fight into that, so they're going to try and kite and run away, and the Argents recapture the vision camp, or capture it, I should say. And they go back to the safety of their arc ship that gives them those healing touches. More hedgehogs being added. We see Percival's up onto his second base now, adding another mech bay. Okay, so that's 2 mech bays, the racks. Going for the energy camp, just out creeping, using the hedgehogs for some map control. Get that extra income. Meanwhile, Aureil looks like putting down some more production, another forward-ish creation chamber. This array is doing fine. This array is still there. Also re-landed, so all the arrays are back. And we have Cabal Tech being added. We see Debilitate going down on all the hedgehogs, so they're all slowed now. The Kree trying to get around them and force them into a pincer. The Kree's rollout doing some nice splash damage to those hedgehogs. One of them's quite low. And reinitiating the rollout, killing off one of them. And now they're trying to get more, but yeah, one of those Kree is low, and they decide to retreat back a little bit. There's a cool little rocket ship. I don't know what it's doing. That's cool. And here we have, now it's up to 6 or 7 hedgehogs. This is a pretty good force. There's a repair-matic, but it goes down real fast to these units. The Argents move out from under the Purify, but the Cabal's in the back still getting charged up a bit. The Cabals are pretty low on energy, though. And the hedgehogs do not look, well, a few of them have Debilitate, some of them are still at full speed. And once the Cabals are out of energy, they're kind of just little tickle monsters. They don't really have a lot else to do. But there's another Purify going down, and that's going to charge them up, allowing them to do more Purify, or sorry, more of their Debilitates. And we do see a couple of these hedgehogs now is slowed down. This one weak one, gets a promote. And manages to stay alive, so some good micro from Percival. This push from Aureil's actually doing some damage. There are Kree here in the mineral line doing damage, and that's going to be GG out of Percival in game 1. Okay, here we are in game number 2. Aureil up in the first game with a kind of a macro opening, and then Argent, Cabal, and Kree. Spawning in the bottom left here of Isle of Dread in the blue Celestials. And his opponent Percival in the red Vanguard in the top right. Going with a Rax opening, pretty standard opening. What else are you going to do? Other than this, maybe make a command post. And Rax up, let's see what we got. A second dog on the way. First dog came and scouted out the main. Looking for where are the collection arrays. That didn't get quite close enough, I don't think, to really see, but you know, you send them out, you're looking for arrays. There he goes, he finds the array. There's the arc ship hiding in the back again. I think Aureil likes to hide his arc ship, just adds that confusion to the scout. And more dogs coming out on the map. And what are they going to do? They're going to come and maybe go for their health camp, it looks like, to open. And Aureil moving back with a third array here, moving his arc ship back. I imagine this is for a power bank and some creeping. And where are those pups? Those pups are trying to take out the slimes here. Good micro to keep the weak one out. Pulling both the weak ones out, actually. Another pup arriving. Just adds some more DPS here. And remember, when you kill one of these slimes, they give you this debuff, this radioactive blood debuff. Oh, no, this one here. Yeah. Unit has reduced armor and it stays on you. So that's what that purpley slimy goo on there is. And that's another good reason why you're going to want to micro your dogs away. Now, for instance, they are going to be taking extra damage here while they have that debuff on. Oh, poor pup. Don't go down. Okay, so good micro. Keep it alive. And they do have that bonus damage versus the creep, so that's good. And yeah, actually, despite having a lot of low dogs, keeping them all alive here. And also, Aureil creeped out his speed camp, no problem, and put down a second arc ship. So same thing we saw last day with last game with that second arc ship. And now his first arc ship's moving back to mine Therium with another prism. So spending some time to build a prism. We got 3 creation chambers here. And we're on 3 or 4 arrays? On 4 arrays. So far in the games that we've seen Aureil playing, at least on these more macro maps, he's been going for kind of this 4 array play. And maybe it's worth reminding our viewers here that collection array here only collects about half speed as a, say, fully saturated base. So these two together, we could say that's one fully saturated base, and then the other two. So he's really on just 2 fully saturated bases, despite being on 4 arrays. You're going to have to add prisms to that, 4 prisms to each of those to get up to a full collection, you know, similar to a fully saturated base for a Vanguard or an Infernal. Now, one thing we'll notice here is that Percival has cut his bobs at 8 here, and that's just because he wants to have the most efficient mining. And up to the first 8, you have the most efficient mining. After that, they start to drop off. So if you do have another base like this, you send your workers over there instead of adding less efficient workers here. We'll see if he keeps that up. Eventually, I think most folks do add a, you know, 9th to 12th bob or imp to their workers. At least I do. But usually after you've tried to more efficiently saturate your bases. Now we've got these dogs out on the map trying to... Ooh, they catch an Argent. Well, they kind of did, but in those light trees, it's hard to get a real surround on it. Here they've pinned it up against the tree, but decide to leave it because that's not necessarily the best position to fight against. You want that full surround. You want all the surface area, and the dogs do get pushed back here. Speedy Argents and Kree come out of the speed camp, and this is kind of a cool... You know, if you're going to park your units at home, you might as well park them at home in the speed camp. So if you need to have them rush out, they can rush out nice and quick. One Kree coming over here to grab the health camp. Another going for the vision. And it's Exos being added for Percival behind the dogs. And they're being used to take out the vision camp on his side of the map. And the Argent and Kree ball back to Huggin inside the speed camp there. Getting those speedy lightning legs. This arc ship's still at tier 1. Do we have an... Okay, so we do have an arc station back here for Aureil. And racks, and racks. Here. The Exos are actually moving out. We got 5 of them here. One's already been promoted. This Kree's being chased away by the dogs. It's going to go down. Oh no, dogs run away. Nope, they kiss the exploding Kree. And now it's Sarvan's Watch. These Exos actually are kind of getting pushed into the Sarvan's Watch. One of them goes down. These 2 Kree. He has to micro his Exos here against these Kree because the Kree do extra damage against them. And now these Exos are kind of out of position. The dogs are coming in the back trying to jump on top of the Cabal. But the dog also meets some Kree, and there's just too many forces here. And I think we see microing the Exos at the moment. Ooh, A couple went down there. Is that a Sovereign's Watch? Yes, there's a Sovereign's Watch on the Aureil. A lot of the dogs went down. The med tech is being chased away. And these Exos are trying to take out the Arc Station, but the Arc Station is going to fly away. And now it's just 3 Exos. We have a pretty good cleanup force coming back for Aureil. And sorry, Exos, do your best. Hide in the back. These Kree are going to get you. And boom, there go down. So there's another force moving out, but this is Medtechs here. 3 Medtechs, that's not really a force. Got a dog and a Lancer. Here comes some Exos to join them. Another Sovereign's Watch gets pulled. Putting pretty low power, although a couple power blanks spawn and Aureil's back up to green. And now it looks like there's a huge Kree ball that's trying to get us around. They're trying to get a good flank here. They get on top of a lot of the dogs and Exos, low Exos running into the light trees, which is good cover for them against the melee units. And actually managing to kind of stay safe in there for a moment at least. And yeah, Aureil pulling back, trying to get those units to come out of the trees and engage in a more advantageous battlefield. More medtechs being added, another Lancer coming to join. But this force from Aureil is just looking big enough that, you know, kind of do some serious damage to this army, especially if those Kree manage to roll in behind there and get on top of the Exos. A nice little split here trying to get a concave, but the ball of Argents is pretty big. The Kree also, look how many Kree there are, roll out on top of these Lancers and such. And Percival is just forced back into his natural. There is his third going down. That's very vulnerable right now. We have Evolution Catalyst used on the speed camp, so that Aureil doesn't have to risk fighting. Now, a lot of those Argents are really low. And they're now standing underneath the Purify Beam. Some good micro from these units. If the Exos were able to focus fire some of those Argents, it might be good, but they had to micro back against the Kree. And they've been forced almost out of the base. We now have overcharge going down on the Bobs, trying to get some little bit of DPS and a little bit of tanking going, but they're facing off against the Kree, which I don't know if that was intentional, but the Kree are kind of tearing into the Bobs. And now the Exos in the back are picking off some units, but maybe just too little too late. More Kree roll up. One's going to be on top of these Exos, and they're going to have to waste some of their DPS on it. Meanwhile, these Bobs are being chased around, going down. There's only 4 left. Now the Kree are going to get on top of the Exos, pinning one Exo down and taking it out. This is going to be a final stand for Percival in his choke. There's just so many Kree here. They roll on top of those Exos, and they are going to get on top of them. They use their rollout ability. So many low Exos. They try and hide in the Bob line, and the Bobs turn to fight to body block against the Kree. That lets the Exo just live a few more rounds, a few more shots. More Kree going down, another Argent going down. This Argent ball, again, so low. The Bobs, even with their low DPS, are able to take out so many of these units, but there's just Kree left over. And that's mostly it for that army. Okay, here we are back at it again with Aureil spawning in the top left here of Ruination, throwing out a GLHF as he surges his arc ship across. Where's he heading with it? It looks like that's an interesting path. We'll keep an eye on that. His opponent Percival in the red Vanguard with some overcharged Bobs building the barracks. Bottom right of Ruination. So where is that arc ship going? Flying over here over the trees. Well, Pup's going to try and do some scouting. Gets into the base, sees there's not much going on there. And what's going on over here? He did see with his extended vision, yet there was indeed a collection array there. Going to the third base. Where's that arc ship? Are you over here? No, the arc ship's still flying out. And we don't see Therium being gathered. So there's not something super cheesy coming out of this. Looks like just maybe going for a secret base to start out. And for Percival, what do we got coming out? We got a puppy dog coming out of the racks. And yeah, so we've got maybe this location being... Oh, I see, okay. So I'm finally catching up to Aureil's strategy here, which is he wanted to creep the speed camp with his power bank and his Sovereign's Watch. So, makes sense. You have... You know, again, I haven't seen as many games on this map yet, so I haven't necessarily seen what the patterns are for players. So this might be a pretty standard opening for Celestial players. I'm not certain. But yeah, creeping out the speed camp here, it looks like, okay, that's a Morph Core. The Arc Ship's chilling out on the high ground. And the Morph Core is... where did the Morph Core go? Here for another collection array. We're up to 4 collection arrays again, so pretty similar build to what we've seen out of Aureil so far. Speed camp captured by Percival, and where is he now? Okay, his pups are over here creeping out the health camp, and it looks like he's up to 5. Do we have a mech bay? No. So staying on dog tech for now. Whereas Aureil has added the second arc ship and is on to 3 collection arrays. Nothing going back home in terms of more arrays being added or power banks. He does have his first arc ship here helping Therium mining now. A 4th collection array, or by array I mean creation chambers, sorry. I think I called them collection arrays earlier. The creation chambers. And adding a Guardian Nexus for Kree-Tech and for upgrades like the rollout and the extra power for your Argents. Okay, dogs out into the center of the map trying to take down the Shadow Demons. Whereas, what do we have? A couple of our first Argents out. Another Morph Core heading out for another array. So that'll put us on 5. And let's see here. 8 pups. So this is a lot of dogs. A lot of dogs. And is there a mech bay follow? So here's a mech bay. There's a mech bay. Okay, so now we're getting some hedgehogs. But the opening was a lot of dogs. And this is an interesting play. Seeing that the health camp has not yet been creeped, going to go steal it. Health camp here, we would call these like a pocket camp. Sort of set in the back where it's like easier for you to access but not your opponent. But Percival's running right in there, stealing the slimes, taking the income, taking the camp, healing up a bit. This isn't so much a pocket camp for Aureil because his base is all down here. This is where his real base is. These are just like, these are almost like hidden expansions over here, or sort of distant ones. Now this Prism, still mining on the main here, hasn't moved over to Therium or anything. Though there are 3 Prisms on Therium down here, and we've now upgraded to an Arc Station for Aureil. And Percival, on his 2 bases, it looks like still producing hedgehogs and yet still producing dogs. So staying on hogs and dogs. And using that to get definitely some map control. This Argent and Kree ball has gone and taken the energy camp. This does seem like a good place for a Celestial to actually make a defensive base. Energy camp is more pocket in this case. The speed camp is right there. And then there is also this Therium camp in the back that you can take. So I can see why Aureil has made the strategic decision to come and sort of take this part of the map instead. Be trying to take the tower by running into the army instead. And here comes the army for some harass. Well, that's right where all of Aureil's units are. And we already see the Cabal out. Interesting siege. I think that must have been a misclick. There were no air units to siege up against. And unfortunately, that's really rough because now the gravity flux goes down on some of those hedgehogs and they get taken out. So interesting choice for gravity flux. So that means we do have upgrades on the Cabals. And that, the gravity flux, well, it can actually be set on autocast as well. But if you have your debilitate on autocast, then that means you might take your mana away from some of your other skills. So the gravity flux, it's possible that he's taken the debilitate off autocast. Maybe he has put gravity flux on autocast, possibly. Or maybe was manually casting it. And if you are just using sort of your standard Cabals, leaving them on autocast is probably the right answer. But if you've got them upgraded to Adept or Master, you probably want to take them off autocast or strategically decide which ones are on autocast. And we got a huge push in here. Kree trying to get in. Again, those hedgehogs have to retreat from the Kree. Have to respect them. And that means that Aureil's going to be able to fight on his terms. And he's going to fight here on this ramp against mostly Bobs while zoning away a lot of the hedgehogs. But it's Kree versus Bob. The Bobs are going down, but that means the hedgehogs are able to fire at the Kree. But the Bob, yeah, almost all the Bobs went down. There are still a few Kree in the natural. And now the Kree are on top of the hedgehogs. The hedgehogs are going down. We have a single Vulcan coming in. Can he be a hero and win the day? Certainly, I know as an Infernal player that Vulcans can win the day against an Infernal army. I think it does have some good bonus damage against Kree. But there goes the gravity flux. Unfortunately, that's like a lash. Just puts them out of commission. And that's the end of the Vulcan. There are still some hedgehogs here trying to do the best that they can with their micro, with their kiting ability. Again, the problem with it is they're having to focus fire down these Kree and not being able to use their rockets on, say, the Argents or the Cabal. And now we see the Argents and Cabal right inside the mineral line again. And that's going to be GG from Percival.